This is a public service announcement brought to you by Hindsight. Relax, rest your eyes, and listen to the words of Pastor Chuck.
Coming up from Jerusalem, from the south, from Judea, were the Pharisees, the doctors of the law, listening and looking for flaws, seeking to find fault. And the power of the Lord was present to heal the people. And behold, men brought in a bed a man which was taken with a palsy. And they sought means to bring him in and to lay him before Jesus. And when they could not find by what way they might bring him in because of the multitude, they went on the housetop and they let him down through the tiles with his couch in the midst before Jesus. So these resourceful men, coming to the house where Jesus was teaching, finding that they couldn't get into the house, the multitude of people crowded around, climbed up on the roof, removed a few tiles, let the man down in front of Jesus. And when he saw their faith, he said unto him, Man, thy sins are forgiven thee. Now, sometimes there is a direct relationship between a person's sin and a physical malady that they might be suffering. For instance, the sin of promiscuous sex often leads to many forms of venereal disease. The syphilis and other venereal diseases that come as the result of promiscuous sex. And it is thought by many Bible commentators that this man probably had syphilis. And it had advanced to the state where this man had become paralyzed, or more or less not paralyzed, but a paralytic of sorts. With the palsy, there was the constant shaking, the weakening of the muscles, the inability to walk. You had to be carried. And it could be that it resulted from some encounter, perhaps with a prostitute, who knows. But having developed the palsy from as a direct consequence of his sin, don't you know that it played upon his mind continually? If I had not, I wouldn't be in this condition. It's amazing how that one foolish mistake can cause a person a lifetime of suffering, pain, sorrow. We are making decisions all the time. And one foolish decision can often be so costly. And for years you can rue a bad decision, a stupid move. So many people find themselves physically incapacitated because of a foolish move in driving their car. A split-second decision. I know it's dangerous to pass. I know that it's a 2-lane road. I know that I can't see around the curve, but there hasn't been much traffic. I'll take a chance. I'll pass. You sort of wait and hover, and then you think, go for it. You put your foot on the throttle, you pull out, and then here is a truck. No place to go. Your body is smashed, your spinal column is broken, and you spend your life paralyzed because of one foolish split-second decision. Cost a lifetime of suffering and pain. And don't you know that you live that moment over and over and over and over again? That moment when you decided to go for it, to put down the throttle, to try and make it, and you relive that foolish decision until it haunts you, it torments you. And thus I can imagine with this man, the sin whereby he contracted this disease that created the palsy. Probably over and over and over again, it tormented his mind. And I think the most glorious words he could ever hear were the words that were spoken by Jesus when he said, "Your sins are forgiven." The tormenting conscience, you're forgiven. David said, "Oh, how happy is the man whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sin is covered." And so I'm certain that there was a burst of joy in this man's soul when Jesus said, "Thy sins are forgiven." I'm certain that there was also, equally with his friends, a bit of disappointment. I think that they probably thought, Lord, that's not why we tore up the roof and let this guy down. We want you to heal him. I do know that the Pharisees had an adverse reaction. Who does he think he is, saying, "Thy sins be forgiven"? Only God can forgive sins. And they were upset at the statement of Jesus. Now the question is, were the Pharisees right in their assertion that only God can forgive sins? And the answer is yes, they were right. That is true. Only God can forgive sins. When David sinned with Bathsheba and the subsequent plotting of the murder of her husband, as David prayed for forgiveness, he said to God, "Against thee and thee only have I sinned and done this great evil in thy sight." Sin is against God. It may affect fellow men. You may lie about me, and it might hurt. But you're really sinning against God that said, "Thou shalt not bear false witness." So it is the violating of the law of God. That's what sin is all about. And because it is violating God's law, only God has the capacity and power to forgive sin. Only God can say, "Your sins are forgiven." So they were correct in their assumption. So then what is Jesus proving when he said, "Thy sins are forgiven"? He's proving that he is God, of course.
You have been listening to Pastor Chuck. This public service announcement has been brought to you by Hindsight. If you found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment if you wish. We at Hindsight says thank you for your time.